Good morning, everyone. How you doing? Now, many of you would have heard me do talks, and one of the things I talk about in my talks is how somebody can change your life with one action or one thing. And many of you would have known about my story about how I came from Nigeria to back to the UK. And I talk about Richard, who you've seen in the video. Now, whenever I do these talks, I'm here now with Richard. Hi, Richard.
Hi.
Yeah. People always ask me whatever happened to Richard, or where is he, or do I still keep in touch? But I thought it'd be nice to have a little conversation with Richard and maybe just put a bit of context to that scenario and where we are now and the journey. Just basically have a conversation with Richard. So Richard, thank you, first of all, for making the time to do this morning, but also for changing my life. You may, I don't know how you see it, but everything, the way I see it, everything I have from that moment you decided to bring me back here, changed everything. Everything I've had since then is because of that moment. And I've said this many, many times in many of my things, that everything I think I do now, it's about trying to give other people the feeling you gave me.
Okay.
But that's the gushy part, the front part. Can we go back to when you first met me?
That was a long time ago. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember why we first met.
Yeah.
Which was accidental. I don't know exactly why it was me you met rather than somebody else, but yeah. You brought a lump of metal to me. Or you said you got a lump of metal. I said bring it round to my house in the evening, and you did.
A lump of gold.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. I remember I was in my early 30s. Believe it or not, it was that long ago. And you came round to my house in the evening at the steelworks, and said, "I've got this piece of gold. Do you want to buy it?" And so I looked at this and thought, and I looked at you, and saw this big chunk of gold, and I looked again at you and thought, what's a fellow like this doing with a big chunk of gold that is worth an absolute bloody fortune? So I got one of my little modelling knives out, actually a little knife like that, which I use for woodwork and such like, and I just sort of scratched away at it, because it was a dirty piece of metal, looked like gold, and it became more and more dark grey type metal and very soft, until we established it was really a piece of lead. Painted gold, rubbed in the mud to make it look genuine, but was nothing more than a piece of plumber's lead. And somehow I had to put you down gently and say, well, I saw your face, and your face just sort of dropped, and what's happened? What's he done to my gold? I said, you've been conned, haven't you? Yeah. And that was it. That's how we met. And no, I didn't take the lump of gold and take it back to England and sell it for a fortune. I did give it back to you. Let's put that on the record. I did give it back to
you. Yeah.
And we just sort of clicked from then on. And you'd come round to my house, and we'd chat, and you'd have a beer, and then you'd come round again and you'd chat, and we'd have something to eat, and then have more beer and more to eat, and for the next year or two you just ate and drank me out of house and home, really.
I think coming around to your house at the time for me was like a small piece of England.
Yeah, it was a different level of normality.
Yeah.
To what you were going through in the steelworks, which was not the worst place to work or live either. I mean, the camp for you and for us expats as we were, it was not a bad place to be, really. But yeah, you had access to probably foods that you hadn't had for a long time, which I didn't know then. I didn't know your story. And a different sort of life that maybe you remembered again, that I didn't know you remembered. And slowly your story came out. What has happened to you, how you came to be in Nigeria. And I was just thinking, well, that's wrong. On every level, that should never have happened. You're a kid. It just shouldn't have happened. And at that point, you had no way out. You were stuck in your roots country, but not your country. Your country was the back streets of London, and that's where you grew up, and that's sort of where you belonged to grow up from, not from muddy tracks and horrendous rains and horrendous heat and hurricanes and tornadoes and God knows what else that we got in Warri. So that was the start of it anyway.
Yeah.
I started teaching to fly model aircraft.
I was going to say, there's some of the adventures we had while we were there.
Not too successfully, but we had to go. Not everybody takes the model aircraft.
Or guitar playing.
Or guitar playing, and I tried to teach you guitar playing, but I'm pretty crap guitar player myself, so that was never going to work.
But, however, I did learn how to make corned beef hash.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
And chicken Maryland.
And chicken, yeah.
And, what's he called it? Malibu and pineapple.
That's painting a really strange picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Corned beef hash, chicken Maryland, and Malibu and pineapple.
Malibu and pineapple, you taught me how to mix the cocktail. In fact, I had a natural affinity when I made it because we had a party and I made it and everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult, really.
No. Hey, it felt like something for me. Yeah. And at that time, your late wife, God rest her soul, Annette was there. And I remember when she came over. Do you remember that time she threw a dart at me? Just missed my foot.
Well, that was probably her aiming for the board. She wasn't that good.
Oh, no, we were sitting down having a laugh and a joke about something.
Right.
She threw a dart at me and it just missed my foot.
Yeah. Oh, that was sad.
Sad that she threw a sad that she missed.
Sad that she missed. Yes.
And then at what point then did you decide, I'm going to help this guy? And why? Or what was it about me that you saw that you said, I'm going to help him? Because you didn't have to.
You're asking for a point. There wasn't. I don't think there was a point. It was an evolution, and it became more and more obvious that you shouldn't be where you were. And obviously my time in Nigeria was going to be finite. I was an expat on a contract. So I was going to be going home at some point. And I think I thought, I can't go home and just say, oh, it's nice knowing him. Oh, well, never mind. It's his problem, isn't it? It's not my problem. And it wasn't my problem. It never was my problem. But it was something I could do. So the first point of this, and we weren't really thinking of you being back in England, but we're just going through these initial steps to make it maybe possible. The first point was that you'd need a passport. You had to have a British passport, your British passport, that you were entitled to back, because your Nigerian passport that you had, if you then wanted to get a visa to visit England, you'd probably find that a huge problem. All sorts of people and institutions would stand in your way.
And not just to add to that, my passport was taken off me by my uncle years before.
Yeah.
So I didn't even have a passport.
No, you didn't. But
Yeah.
you could have got a Nigerian passport, probably. But yes, you're right. That your passport was taken off you. So, hello, this is my nephew. He's going to stay here. By the way, I'm taking his passport. Goodbye. And he was gone, which was part of your story you told us. And that was the wrong bit. Just not the way you treat any kid. So we managed to get your British passport because we got your birth certificate. Well, we got a copy of your birth certificate. We did the application for your passport. You did the application for your passport. Came through. We got it to you. So now you had a British passport in Nigeria. Without a visa to get into Nigeria in your passport, which makes getting out of Nigeria quite difficult, because they're going to want to know how you came into Nigeria. And that would just be too complicated to tell them. And then later, after having got your passport, which I think I held on to, didn't I?
You did, yes.
To make sure that you didn't lose it. You
Yeah.
always knew where it was in the house, and you were in the house most days, so you could always take it whenever you wanted. I was going back home on leave, and I was talking to my wife, and we just said, you know what, this is the ideal opportunity to get him home. He doesn't really care about working for the company. He's got friends in Nigeria, but he wants to be back in England. We can do this. So we got you an airline ticket. You didn't know about it at the time. And then you turned up at ours for corned beef hash or whatever it was, probably Skull beer actually. And said, by the way, I've got something for you. And I passed you your passport, which you already knew about, with a ticket stuffed in it. And you looked at it and didn't understand it. And then it dawned on you what it was. He said, really? I went, yeah. Look at the date. So you worked out what the date was, and it was only going to be something like 3 weeks away. So you were a blubbering wreck, I think, for the next day or two, because you just didn't understand it. And anyway, that was how we decided to take you home. So when you said before, you know, at what point, there was no actual point. It was that evolution that took place, moving towards that, and then we'd sort of made the decision sometime in the past that we didn't even know.
Yeah. So, okay, so you took this, it was a risk in some ways.
It's still,
Yeah.
if we're talking about you now going home in 3 weeks, it's a massive risk right now.
Yeah.
It's only a plan at the moment.
But it was a risk, but it was also the thing doing it. You had no idea what I would become or what I would do with my life, but you saw something in me. You know, what did you see in me that said, yeah, I'm going to do it for this kid?
Well, I mean, looking at you now, having been a copper for 25 years, however you were, and getting a diversity awards thingy and getting a BAFTA. If I'd known all that, I'd never have brought you back. Because when you talk about those things, you're just insufferable, really. It's my fault. Sorry. So what did I think you'd be?
Or what did you see, you know, in me to say, yeah? Because I could have come over, I could have ended up being, I don't know, homeless, a criminal, drug dealer, junkie. So many things could have gone wrong.
Well, you're quite a few of those, aren't you? What did I see in you? I didn't. I didn't. Other than I saw you as an individual who was not able to be an individual. What you're going to become, and I actually made that very plain to you when I left you at Heathrow, because I was then travelling on to
Liverpool.
Manchester. Well, yeah, I was flying on to Manchester from Heathrow, but leaving you at Heathrow for you to go into London and cause mayhem there. I made it very plain to you then that whatever you become, whatever you do, is now up to you, not up to other people. And you said, how can I repay you at the time? And I said, just be you. In all seriousness, I think you've done pretty well for yourself. Okay, it's only a BAFTA, not an Oscar, but you're working on it. So yeah, you've done pretty well for yourself. I'm very pleased.
Yeah,
I would say proud, but it's not my place to be
But you
proud.
can be proud. You can be
No,
proud. You can be proud. You can be
I know
proud
what you
for
mean.
me
I'm
rather
proud
than
for you.
Yes.
Yes. I'm proud for you. But not ever. Well, I made this happen because you did.
I hear that. I do hear that. I do hear that.
And if you think about it, I've kept out of your life to a large degree. You've always known where I am, and we've always talked, sort of birthdays and Christmas type thing. Not even that frequently, but we've always been able to talk.
But
You've
we
always
lost
known
touch
me,
for a
Ken.
while, a few years.
Yep,
Yeah.
you could have always found me. I could have always found you. I knew that, at the very worst, if I couldn't find you any other way, I could find you through the police, which I think is actually what I did.
You found me through LinkedIn.
No, I think it was the police told me to go to LinkedIn.
All right, okay. I wasn't aware of that part.
Yeah,
Because I remember getting a message from you on LinkedIn.
yeah, because the police couldn't. You got some random fella phoning up the police to say, "Hey, I want to get in touch with one of your coppers. Where's he live and what's his phone number?" It's not going to fly, is it? And I think it was a young lady said to me, "We can't divulge that information." There are other organisations or other social media outlets such as LinkedIn that you might wish to try. And I just got from that she was telling me to try that. Anyway, that's how we did it.
When I came back from Nigeria, when I was joining the police, because I remember you weren't able to come to my passing out parade, but Annette and another young guy, I can't remember his name, came, who was a neighbour of yours or something. I've got a picture somewhere. Maybe if I get a picture, you'll remember him.
Tony Schuler.
I can't remember his name. But
I think it was Tony.
when I told you I was joining the police, what was your what did you think?
What, apart from get a hold of you and putting a plane straight back to Nigeria? Well, you'd always said you wanted to be in the police. You'd wanted to be a policeman. You told us that in Nigeria.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. You told me that in Nigeria. I just thought, yeah, sure. So I wasn't in the.
No.
Yeah. You told me.
I didn't decide to be a police officer.
You may not have decided, but we talked about it in Nigeria.
No, because I remember when I decided it was I was working, because I came back, I didn't actually like the police. But when I was working...
Well, maybe you're trying to be a policeman to get your own back.
Yeah. I was working on in Brent Cross Shopping Centre.
Yeah.
And the police used to come in to pick up the shoplifters. They were the ones who convinced me to actually.
Well, I remember when you got the job as in Brent Cross. I can't remember if you applied to the police before you got that.
No, no, no,
Didn't get
after.
it, or was it after? Okay. And I thought when you got that job at Brent Cross, I thought, well, that's a first step.
Mm.
So I wasn't in the slightest bit surprised.
That I couldn't get. Yeah. So, and I remember moving it forward a little bit. The night before the BAFTAs,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember we had that phone call.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you? Well, I know for me, I know what it was like for me, but you were at the other end of the phone.
That was tough. I was so happy for you. Obviously, the night before the BAFTAs, we didn't know you'd won the BAFTA.
No.
But to be even considered for a BAFTA, let alone on the final cut or whatever happens, is a huge honour.
Mm.
And trying to come to terms with the fact you'd got that far, and I'd seen your mini film, the Black Cop, which was you laying yourself bare, really. Well, very bare, and that took some guts. You know, much as you think it's, well, this is what you want to do, you want to get out in the world and you want to show people and all the rest of it, which is all very laudable. Exposing yourself like that was massive. And I don't think you know just how massive that was. You still don't, do you?
No, I'm still, and you said something yesterday. We were sitting down. I'm always in this place of. I think in some ways I'm still that kid in Nigeria, and still in that place of I can't believe this is happening. But there's also that side of it is that looking at it and saying, I made it happen.
Bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah. Every time I show the film the acceptance speech when I do talks, and there's two films I show. There's my coming out speech at the Gay Pride rally, and then the acceptance speech. And every time I watch those two films, I watch them like, who is this guy? And I get emotional. And it's almost like I still can't believe that was me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think sometimes your speeches like that, you are a different person. Because if you really give the speech as you'd never get through it. You know, the emotional side.
So every time I watch them, I do watch them, you know, without, hope it doesn't sound egotistical, but I watch them from a place of awe.
Egotistical? No.
So here we are today, 2023, last day of July, I believe it is.
Is it the 30th?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well, maybe that's inflation for you, but I always thought the 31 days in July.
yeah.
You know, you
No,
never,
the
you
last
never know
couple
with
of
our
days.
government.
Yeah. And I hope you don't mind me saying you're now 70.
70, yeah.
In a very good place. And when I say good,
I'm in the
you're
shed.
healthy.
I'm in my shed.
Yeah, it's a nice shed.
Well,
Yeah.
Managed to get rid of the wife for half an hour. But, yeah.
But there's a, and I've come up seeing you're living just outside Newcastle.
Yep, right on the coast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm in a happy place, I guess.
Yeah.
My ambitions, my plans, my dreams for the future. At 70, they're sort of modified, and I'm happy with what I've got.
Yeah. And you're healthy.
Yeah.
Considering the amount of cigarettes we smoked back then.
I'm on vape now.
Yeah.
I'm on vape, and these are issued by the NHS. Well, not this one, but these are issued by the NHS. So it must be good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to smoke 2 packs a day, and did from when I was a young teenager. And they were getting £10 a pack. My wife smokes as well, and she was smoking 2 packs. She'll deny that and say it was 1.
This is your current wife. Yeah. Because we spoke about Annette passing.
This is the PMS.
The PMS.
Yeah, the present Mrs. Seaman.
Oh, right.
There's 3 stages of PMS. Yeah? There's the previous Mrs. Seaman, the potential Mrs. Seaman, and the present Mrs. Seaman.
So the middle one's not off the table.
Well, that's previous.
Potential.
You never know what's around the corner. It's always a potential. And it's only a present Mrs. Seaman. You know, those plans can change as well.
Are you happy?
Yeah. I'm settled.
Yeah.
Happy. I don't get out of bed every day smiling and grinning and running around the place. I think I'd get arrested if I did that. I'm happy. I play guitar. I come in here and I do some woodwork. I build models. I've got the family. I eat well. I can drink what I want. As you say, I'm healthy enough. Yeah, I'm happy. Not under any pressure. Apart from this.
Well, I mean, that's nice because I'm going to go back now and go back to the start and just say, again, thank you. Thank you.
I keep saying this to you. There's nothing to thank me for.
Yeah, from your perspective. From my perspective, it's huge. I try to, everything I do, I try to give back something to someone. Because...
We won't go into yesterday.
Oh, go on. You
really want me to mention yesterday?
Okay.
And the day before?
I'll leave it to you.
Right. I'm not talking to Gamal now, I'm talking to you. This fella can fall in a bucket of manure and come up smelling of roses. This is dead true. Here's a true story. Day before yesterday, he arrived here on the Friday, and we went out to our local Italian restaurant. So there we are, sat at the table. There's 4 of us: myself, my wife, my daughter, and Gamal. And we're having a good time. And there's a family at the next table, a youngish family. They've got a young girl and a very young girl, almost a baby, husband and wife. And we were smiling at the baby and making weird noises at it, and the way you do. Anyway, came for the bill. I paid the bill, and we're going to leave. And Gamal says, "Hang on, just need to go somewhere." So I waited by the door. He comes back. We go outside. I said, "What was that?" He said, "Oh, I've just paid their bill." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "That family behind us, I've just paid their bill." I said, "What, did you tell them?" "No. I just went up to the till and paid their bill and came out." So we went home, and I thought, this family's just had their whole meal paid for, their kids paid for, the lot. And they're on holiday. They don't know Gamal from anyone. They've never met him before. They'll never see him again. And some stranger just paid their bill. And I thought, that's a really good thing. That's the sort of person he is. Okay, so the next day, we go out and we take a drive up the coast to Bamborough. And now Bamborough is pretty close to the Scottish border, famous for having a big castle. And it's a lovely little town, and one I've been to before. So we went into this restaurant that I've been to before, a pub restaurant, and Kamal and I had fish and chips, and the two girls had lasagna and chips. And it really wasn't that good. So we paid for the meal when we ordered it. So the woman comes round and says, you know, what do you think of, how was the food and such like? And we said, well, to be honest, weren't very happy with it. So a long discussion about it. She said, well, can I give you your money back? I said, yeah, okay. But, you know, take the comments on board, whatever. So Gamal, who'd paid for the meal, got his money back. So he's been repaid for paying for this family the night before. So we get back to my house in the evening, and he's checking up trains and such like, and when he came up on the Friday, the train was late. It was half an hour late or something arriving. So he put a complaint into LNER. And last night, what happens? He gets another 25 quid back from LNER. So the cost of the meal that he paid, he got back from the restaurant yesterday, plus LNER. It couldn't happen to anyone else.
And again, that's one of those things that I don't see. It's not until I hear it through somebody else's eyes or see it through that I look at it and think, oh.
Well, you added the two things up, the meal back yesterday,
yeah.
plus the 25 quid LNER, and it was within £1
Yeah.
of the cost of their meal. £1 difference. And none of it.
£1 profit.
Yeah, profit. And it wasn't engineered that way. It just happened.
And then what if I'm honest, what the other part of it that get me is the impact it had on you and Anne-Marie.
Well, the fact you came up here for a weekend and made a profit out of it. Yeah, I know. It was good to see. It was good to see. Because it started from an act of kindness with no thought of repayment. You were just sort of paying forward, or whatever the phrase is. And good things happened. Normally they happen a lot later than that. But this happened immediately afterwards. Yeah. So, yeah, it was good to see.
That's a good place to come to a close. And I just want to say thank you again. I'm glad that we had the opportunity to do this. And I'm also glad that from this video, people will see that we're still in touch. And I think it adds a bit more oomph to the story.
Yeah.
It makes it a bit more real.
What time's your train?
So thank you, Richard. Thank you for making this time.
You're more than welcome. More than welcome. And yeah, I'm sure you'll be up here again. And you're welcome anytime you like.
I know.
You may choose not to come now. Now you know what the attic's like. He's had to sleep in the attic with the packing boxes and the rats and the mice and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, some things never change.
Unless he's taken a picture of it that I don't know about, but that's possible.
No, thank you.
You're more than welcome.